we're going to begin the video I've been wanting to make since April. Is about the demonically possessed Troybilt Yardman MTD Cub Cadet Husqvarna. And I did get a lot of blood on my tractor the other day. I thought I got it all off. Kind of made a boo-boo. These engines, these Kohlers, that's a Kohler. Now this is different from the Kohler Pro and a lot of the other Kohler engines. That engine does not have the automatic compression release like Briggs and a lot of the other engines and a lot of the other Kohlers do. If you don't have the right battery in that tractor, okay, which that one is not the correct battery, okay, these switches are electronically controlled, and this one's still semi-okay, but the resistance there's a capacitor there and resistance, okay? That's what that is. That's a miniature micro capacitor. So I'm going to put you on the tripod here for a minute, and I do not have my shoe on the bottom of the camera, so I'm hopefully going to have to set you like that and not knock things over. What happens, okay, if you notice what I did over there, I ran a double ground. There's the regular ground, then there's a ground underneath inside the tractor that just goes inside the frame. And I know a lot of people, I hate when somebody explains something too and they don't really point it out. But I have this grounded two ways. Here to the battery, and then here's a secondary ground that goes down within there, okay? There's also another ground in here, near, this one's up in here. There is a screw or a bolt or whatever, yeah. And that's, one's to the back of the starter solenoid. You have to excuse me there. I have a medical condition right now that I've been fighting, and I've had no time to address it. What I'm doing today is I'm doing a half-dozen projects that I meant to do in the spring, and I don't like setting this camera like that, but anyway, I'm going to set you like that, and I'm just going to let you know. Your other problem is, there's a couple companies that make these, including, Briggs. This is not the starter solenoid to use on that tractor. Theirs is a high amperage solenoid, the MTD. So when that tractor does not start, okay, first thing is, a lot of times people don't take their battery out over the winter. They just leave it in the tractor, okay, which is where I get to those AGM batteries. I cured my other tractor, and it's only a single cylinder Kohler. Refused to start. I replaced all that, replaced all the grounds, okay? Then I actually talked to somebody that knows something. And it was something I suspected, but if you don't know what something is and you don't get an accurate description, you may not get the right thing. So I went to an all-time pro who actually knows, what's his name, Tim, and they call him TARYLDACTYL. He actually knows the guy, and I love TARYLDACTYL. TARYLDACTYL, if you're watching my video on these demonically possessed tractors, listen up, buddy. I love your videos, and I love what you told Tony. We call Tony Soprano. I got to hold you on because I didn't put the shoe on the thing. His last name is Serrano. But anyway, Tony's a good friend of mine, and he actually knows. I don't know I forget what Tim's last name is, but he actually knows the guy, and he tells me. He says, look, he says, you need an AGM battery. So, what are we talking about? Well, remember we talked about this because you can revive an AGM. You could probably leave an AGM battery in your tractor over the winter. I probably still wouldn't, just by sense, okay? This is just an acid battery, okay? It's antiquated. They really shouldn't even be selling these anymore, okay? The new tractors, they take twice as much oomph as 350 cranking amps. They almost take as much as a car, okay? So, you need an acid gel battery of about 420 cranking amps for those twin cylinder tractors and a lot of the Troybilts with the twin cylinders, and I wouldn't be afraid to use it on a single cylinder. But you need an AGM battery. Basically, those the acid batteries, I'm going to try to put this shoe on so I can talk, okay? I want to just describe what happened to me And I had decided to spend a bunch of money that I didn't have again, and I learned my lesson, okay? So what happened is, well, maybe your solenoid is bad, somebody would say. Correct assumption. How do I know it's the solenoid? Well, you really don't. And there's really no way to check those solenoids. So they could tell you about ohms and this and that. It's a two-way switch. It's broken. That switch only closes when power comes out of the key, okay? You're not really going to check that switch on the bench, the starter control, rather, the starter solenoid, because this switch is actually what controls it. So when you're slow cranking, a lot of times it could be the ground. So I went out and I bought wire ends and lugs. I spent a better part of almost maybe 3-4 days methodically replacing that. I had it all apart. That one you have to take the body up and off of it to get to the starter solenoid correctly and wire it real carefully. And I put new terminal ends on it because naturally I ordered an MTD starter solenoid, and believe it or not, where you plug it in, unlike this one, it comes, you can either, it either has the loop, you know, that you put on, or it has the plug, okay? This has both. The MTD that they sent me, okay, I had the lug, the round lug. They sent me one with the plug. And I got that, what did I get that? Jack's small engines. It was the wrong, to me it's the wrong solenoid. Now this, and if anybody wants to maybe promote me or whatever, I would get the Sten's part. They're probably about $4 or $5 more than the crappy ones they sell on eBay and Amazon. And watch out so you don't get copies, because I heard there's copies out there. I don't know that for certain. I just heard rumor of it, and I'm paranoid of that stuff because I've been burned by it. And I used to complain, eBay used to be my nemesis. Now I'm going to tell you something. I'm getting better parts out of eBay than I can when I go down, and better service, because it's right there. I can see it. I go to Advanced Auto Parts, and that you don't know what the hell you're getting anymore. You can't trust it. And as I said, they don't speak or comprehend English. It makes it goddamn difficult when you got to fix something, and even they don't know what the hell they're selling you. So my old nemesis, eBay, has really come around, because I got a half a dozen bad parts. I mean, I must have $700-800 in parts that during COVID there was no customer service. I couldn't return the shit. Not to mention the internet was being controlled too. That just came out with Snowden, what they're doing with our internet, which is, I don't really subscribe to paranoid delusions, but were people involved in controlling the internet? Pretty much. I think he hammed it up a little bit, but he's making a name for himself, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's pretty much a patriotic American, and we already know the mess that we're in. We got half a hemisphere here on fire. We got half a hemisphere on fire in Europe, and then they're going to shove global warming down your neck. They don't talk nothing about what that subnuclear nuclear ordinance does. So that is your demonically possessed tractor. Mainly it's the battery. And if you continue to start your tractor with the switch with a underpowered battery, you're going to burn the switch out. Okay, the switch burns out, and along with it, the starter solenoid. So the correct MTD solenoid, it doesn't have 2 bolt areas. Okay, it has 1 bolt area. Okay, and then it has like a hook, like a finger that goes in, and that's most MTDs, Troybilt, stuff like that. And like I said, once they started selling these tractors in the box stores for Mickey Mouse prices, that's what you got, a Mickey Mouse tractor pretty much. And the factories, that's where people got fooled, because that battery got a year or 2 old. You know, some people don't get more than 2 years. Depends on how you use the tractor, run the headlights, depends on whether your grandson's cranking it and doesn't remember that it has a choke to pull the choke out. That has all happened to me. So the battery goes to hell in a handcart pretty fast. You go out to the store and grab one of those cheap $30, $40 batteries and think you're going to put it in there. You want that battery that's like, they're between $55 and $80, like $80. Depends on where you buy them. I found out that Duralast from AutoZone, as much as I bitch about AutoBone down there, they have an actual AGM battery, and you'll know the price. At least last year it was about $78. And I did buy that battery for that tractor, but it ended up in the Troybilt in there because I use that as a backup. In other words, when you have a large property and you have grass to cut, when it's natural that one tractor, the belt's going to snap till you get another one. Get the day off to go get the belt and everything like that. It's time, so you have another tractor because it could be 2-3 weeks. Um, this year with all the rain, it's why I'm making this video now. I had concrete patchwork to do there. I never did get to clean these workbenches, which is going to happen in between me getting going back on my son's truck and trying to get that thing squared away. So your demonically possessed tractor, mainly it ends up to be the battery, and normally you won't have to do all that replacement. I would suggest the extra grounds because it made a difference on both the tractors that they fire right up. There's no slow crank. They do their job even with that Mickey Mouse battery in there. But that's because periodically I'm charging it. I'm keeping the current and the voltage up. Now you have a cold morning when that voltage drops down to just about nothing. There are no cold cranking amps on those batteries. They're junk. They're a regular lead acid battery, and they're very cheesily made. All I can say is Chinesium. Okay, so I pretty much solved your Troybilt and MTD. Like I said, Yardman, Husqvarna, Cub Cadet. There's quite a few of them. Craftsman is one of the only tractors that really doesn't have that voltage flow problem. But they have recently gone to this type of ignition. Now people are starting to have trouble because I had 3 or 4 of them here, and I told the people, one of the guys pulled it. He called me an asshole when I told him the battery's almost $100, and then I wanted $25 to put it in simply because I got to put gas in the truck and go get it. He told me up yours, and he still the tractor is still sitting out behind his house because he's that freaking bullheaded and ignorant to realize that it takes a different generation, a different type of battery in that later model tractor. So basically that's what this boils down to, is your tractor is not possessed, it's not junk. It's just that people, they see the $30 or $40 battery and all they see is dollar signs. They don't see common sense that, well, maybe that battery would benefit my tractor if I spent that extra $40. Well, if you don't know what it is, you're not going to spend the money on it. And I agree. And that's why I said I consulted with a guy that I knows his lawn tractors and his tech. You know, he's a guy, I only associate with him because he's my neighbor, and he came up here just to buy parts off me. I had an old, what was it, an STX deck, the 38-inch John Deere STX. I had a deck that was in pretty good salvageable shape, and he came up here and gave me the $50 for it, shook my hand, and then I realized that he knew TARYLDACTYL, and he knows a couple of the real pros, and then I said, why don't you have a shop? Boing! Because people just don't want to pay. He says they see something cheaper, or they see a belt over somewhere else, they can get the belt for $25 instead of $50, and they don't realize it because I actually got a Gates belt, that heavy duty Gates belt, and I wanted to show you that because belts do make a difference. We have a bearings and drive place because I do drive line, I do these light trucks, the pickup truck restorations. I got a nice beefy Gates belt. You know, you buy one of those belts over at Tractor Supply, that thing puts it to shame by 155 and 9.9%. So there you go. And that is my video, is to remember, this could be your problem. This might be your problem. More than likely, if you add extra grounds to your tractor and you put that heavier battery in there, you're going to be back to squared away. Okay. If you're going to buy that $30 battery, think you're going to stick it in there, which is probably a $50 battery now with the Joe Bite Me economy, okay, I would still go get that AGM. Like I said, AutoZone is really the only one, and I know Advanced had a Die Hard for the tractors, and that one too was about $70, $80. I think it was $93. If my memory serves me correctly, that was $93, okay? But that's your problem. Right in the hand card. I'm handing you the issue is it is the battery more than likely in those tractors, and it is also those Mickey Mouse very thin ground wires. Add that extra ground, okay? Add 2 of them. And this, like I said, this helped enormously. These extra grounds, it helped like nobody's business. Like I said, this thing starts right up now, and it runs. But like I said, I got to keep the voltage up on that battery, on that cheapo battery. So look, I'm doing concrete patching. I've got 3 or 4 buckets of parts of garbage I want to throw out. I've got cat food that came. I've got to put that away. And as I said, I got to sort of get after these workbenches. I even broke one of my rules. I left a beer can there overnight. I'm drinking soda right now. When I got to run, I don't drink and drive. So anyway, that's what you end up looking like. Of a summer full of rain and bullshit, broken parts, missing parts, bad parts, wrong parts, chicken farts, all kinds of farts. Okay? Mainly the one in the White House is behind all of it. So if you think you're going to get mommy's basement bedroom dwellers and all that to solve all these problems with auto parts and that's part of the reason why you're not getting the right parts, correct parts, or getting advice on a better part. Okay? A lot of stores used to try to upsell you and say, hey, buy this part instead. Nowadays, they don't even know the difference. You don't even know that there's a better part on the shelf. Okay? That's a big problem of what's going on. So thanks for watching my videos, okay? I hope you enjoy this one. And probably pretty sure you're going to get that tractor out next year. Make sure you put it away correctly. I put 2 cycle down in the fuel. I run it through, then I shut the fuel off. Okay? Even if it evaporates, okay, in the bowl, it's not going to be as bad as if you don't, especially if you're running ethanol fuel. Okay? Thanks for watching my video. Any questions, use that comment box below, okay? And none of the stop with the crass comments, guys. Some of you guys get a little carried away with the dumb stuff, okay?